Hello Capricorn, welcome to your reading with me, Cindy. So right away, Capricorn, I feel like I just came into the energy of having difficulty articulating something or having difficulty trying to say something. I'm putting it on you, not on me. I know sometimes I struggle. Freaking thing at the top of my mouth. But I haven't had trouble at all today. I've had to like haul out on my kid. Listen, she's supposed to be dressed by 10 a.m. which I'm trying to like get him closer and closer to being ready to go out a door by 8 a.m. for school next week. I have had no trouble to articulate. And then I sat down, I nestled myself into your energy for this reading. And I say like my little mantras, opening up and all that stuff. And I was stumbling and I just, I didn't know what to say. It was weird. I don't know what's going on. And I'm just sitting here. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's something about yourself or something that you feel like you need to say to somebody, but you're not really sure how to do it. Or it's almost, okay, it's a little bit like when I'm channeling a pretty like profound message. But sometimes I feel like there aren't enough words in the English language for me to describe what it is. It's almost like there's just not enough words. Maybe it's even like you feel like, okay, you feel like you have, I feel like I have like 3 sentences. I have enough time to get 3 sentences out of my mouth to really be heard and understood. But how do I say all of this and that? I don't know what it is. It's really interesting. It's a really, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But anyway, so I just picked up on that. So I'm just kind of saying it for you, if that means anything to you. We're going to look at how you've changed, Capricorn. How you've changed, my love. So I'm going to see who you were then. That could be, you know, hours, days, weeks, months, years. Who you are now. The lesson that you haven't fully learned. Still perfecting. But then we're going to look at the lesson you have perfected. We're doing all wild unknown with this. Wild and unknown. Wild and crazy, baby. Crazy. So let's get started, Capricorn. Hopefully I can articulate for you what you need to hear. All right, Capricorn, my cappuccinos, my cabbage corns. Who you were in the past, the sustainer. Okay, that came in really hard and fast. I'm just hearing molding young minds. So I don't know what that, molding young minds, who you were in the past then. So yeah, I'm just like mold, like clay, something that's just waiting to be molded. And so this could be obviously some type of leadership. Now, sorry, Lily's sleeping in the room. She's not snoring, she's like wheezing through her nose. It's a little distracting. Molding young minds, you know, the thing that comes in with this as well, I'm also even picking up on like just old soul energy. And even if you were the youngest person in a group of siblings, it just kind of felt like you were always kind of influencing in a positive way. I want to say that who you were before, you were influencing in a positive way somehow to those either less experienced than you. So that could be like in a job or a career or a hobby or something, and you just maybe not even less experienced. Like I'm also just kind of seeing somebody walking into a situation for the first time and just taking over it, like just, but not in like a narcissistic and controlling and domineering way. Just like it just automatically comes to you like what you're supposed to do. I'm just seeing somebody walk up to like people putting bikes together, and you walking in for the first time almost like an apprentice and becoming the master by the end of the class. So that's really interesting. But I'm hearing that molding young minds. So, okay. So who are you now? Who are you now? The Maiden. Oh, well then. After I've said everything here, you know, like it just felt like someone who has always just stepped right into what you were meant to do. This comes really easy. Even if you didn't have the experience to start with, you walk out of the seminar being like, everyone's asking you the questions. They're not asking the person who they went to see the seminar with. Like it just, yeah, like it just comes off that card like that. But now you're like, you've stepped into something you're not the master of. That's humbling. It's very humbling. It's also, I think, very difficult. Now, this is the funny thing. So I feel like I've lived a life where I've had to like work 3 times harder than everyone around me. Just not necessarily though too. Like maybe you've had, even just saying that, like where I'm about to go with this, because I'm feeling kind of the opposite. Like if I was looking at my life, I would feel sort of the opposite of this. Where like maybe even you had all the tools that you needed. Like you just, I don't know, just somehow in some part of your life, something came naturally to you. Or easily. I don't want to say easily in that you didn't have to work hard for it. It just, like instinctively. Where I think, yeah, see myself, I spent most of my life trying to do things that I was really drawn to, but they weren't really meant for me, or I didn't have a natural ability or talent for it. So I did, like I found myself always having to work 3 times harder than everyone else. And then I just find myself, oh, screw this shit. You know what, Cindy, you're just creative and a crazy mind. You just need to go with that shit. And then I fall into my place. I don't have to work that. I love what I do, right? Like it comes really easily and naturally. So I feel like somehow that has flipped. Like you kind of, there's something here, right? And like you got your hands around this piece of clay, like it's just meant for you. It's just molds to your hand and it's so, yeah. But now you're the maiden. So the maiden is a bit of a precarious situation because now you are fresh, you are new in a type of scenario in your life. And you know that you could stumble. You're going to stumble. You're going to make mistakes. You're not. This feels like serving your karma. And then this feels like stepping into your dharma. Yes. Or I would say I probably feel like I did. No, well, no, I guess different ways. Yeah, this is really intriguing. I guess I'm drawn to like comparing myself to you because I find it so different. Like, isn't that funny? So maybe people compare themselves to you. I don't know. But yeah, this just, okay, now people are gonna be like, oh, karma's not bad stuff. I feel like a bit of like south and north node energy here too, because our south node is filled with karma. We've already been there, done that. Like there's a lot of energy there. You just step into it naturally. Kind of like drawing and painting. Nobody ever had to teach me how to do that. I just knew how to do it. So you can almost say it's like something you built up in lifetimes. Or maybe even a sculptor. Maybe it's just, I'm like reaching, maybe for some of you it's just the most obvious thing ever. You were a sculptor. You were like a sculptor of some sort. But you know, right now, you're taking a very big step. I think you're taking a very big step, and you're being, I want to say there's quite a level of bravery involved in this. And it also is like the maiden, this is the kind of energy that you would have been molding in the past. Young and inexperienced, falling all over the place, making lots of mistakes left, right, and center. But every single mistake, there's a lesson in it. And every single lesson, there's an opportunity to elevate. So here you sit. Here you sit, Capricorn. Okay. Not fully learned. What's the lesson? Your cards are just cooperating so nicely today. Thank you. The river. Flowing naturally. Being taken away. Kind of being taken away here. Going down the river, being taken away. Pursuing things that just, gosh, it feels like you don't know where you're going to go. I just feel like there's what is this? I need more cards. There's a lot more cards to come out in this reading, but it is, okay, it reminds me, you know how to describe this? It reminds me of being like, I know this feeling. I'm pulling on it. Just give me a second. I'm trying to get the details accurate. Okay, yeah, that's it. I was just 2 parts of my life. I was trying to figure out which one was it because I moved around a lot when I was little. Okay, this reminds me of like being 4 years old And I had teenage parents, so like, I guess the early part of my life was kind of unstable and unpredictable. I was like, oh, what's going on? And we moved to an apartment complex. And I just remember being confused a lot of the time, like being confused about what was appropriate behavior, being confused about what was inappropriate behavior, being confused when I wasn't actually doing anything wrong, but I got in trouble. I'm like, I just don't know what to do. It just feels like that. Like, it just feels like I don't know who I am and I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. That's what this feels like. But yet, I mean, I kind of consider myself an old soul. So, you know, like there's these two parts of you that are fighting, saying, I'm more than this, but I don't know what I am right now. Right? I am more than this, but I don't know what I am right now. I don't know where this is all going. I don't know how to just get through the day and be okay. You know, and this card is, I think, bringing that out for me. The lesson that I learned, like, it's just going with the flow. Just going with the flow. So, okay, what's the lesson that you've perfected? I'm going to keep shuffling because your cards are just coming out like, yeah, nobody's business here. You want to come out? No, you're going back in. Okay. So what is the lesson that you have fully learned? What is the lesson that you have fully learned? The stone. Oh, well, hard. Hey, I hear hard lessons. You. Oh my gosh. Are there some things you molded in the past that you have regret about? Or regret about things and how you molded some things here? Because what does clay turn into once it hardens, but like a piece of stone? It's no longer moldable. Whoa. I'm also picking up this, that you've been molded. You've been molded. And the lesson that you're learning is that once that kind of sets, you've been through the kiln, it's pretty hard to change. Wow. That's profound. It's almost like you have to crack open the stone to change it. And then what is it? It's no longer moldable clay, but a mess of dust and debris. Now this is reminding me, what's coming up here is the fault line. Is it the fault line? Wait, there's something about a crack. One of these cards, there's something about a crack, and I think it is in, is it Japanese culture where like cracks are revered? They're like honored. So like if you cracked a teacup, right, which would have been a type of clay, a type of porcelain, and then it became hard and you cracked this teacup, you would bind it with gold. I don't know how they did that. I guess they melted it because it's got a... Gold is pretty moldable, actually, isn't it? It's one of the softest metals. Yeah, there's something actually really beautiful in the breaking down. Because you become this unique form that is so much more than what you were initially molded to be. And then when this is broken down and you put it all back together again, it's like the adhesive is the healing, right? The healing is the adhesive. And it shows, and it's beautiful. It's like a work of art. It's a unique piece of art. And that's funny. Because there's so many things that mold us in life, right? That we have no control over. Absolutely no control over. Particularly like when I'm talking about being 4 years old. Like, really little control over like, your circumstances. And then, see, I get this, just this really odd little unique piece of gem that sits in the middle. Oh, all of this geometry and, you know, angles and sides. And look at the square. The square. Oh, this is getting so cool. Right? There's 2 squares here. Okay, how... I'm going to go with, like, how you were molded. I'm really feeling that even more and more in this reading. And, you know, how you were molded maybe would have affected how you molded things around you, like your own kids, your own siblings, I don't know, whatever. I'm hearing colleagues, but how you were molded. This is really contained. Really, really contained. It is a sphere that could become almost anything. But look at, and now see like how closely the hands are cupping this piece of clay because the parameters around it are pretty tight. It's really a tight container. You are so used to being a tight container. You're so used to being so tightly contained. I think the magic of this is, yes, there is a breakdown here, and you are showing up in, I would describe this as showing up as already being like cracked open, and the pieces kind of taped or glued back together again. But how you choose to glue yourself back together again should be completely up to you, because that will move you away. I don't even know. It's been a long time since I've read this card, what the sustainer is about. Maybe it's something really, really beautiful, but you know what? There's something happening here synchronistically and intuitively with these cards, which how it's caused you to really learn a lesson here about molding things, how you've been molded, how you can perpetuate that or break cycles. The key to coming out of this box, even when this is a piece of clay that is hardened and it's been hardened into this shape, is to crack it open, to heal it in the way that feels right to you. If it feels right to walk away from everything and just go and sit with your feet in a stream for weeks on end and stare at the clouds, if that's what it takes and everyone else thinks that's crazy and it doesn't fit their parameters, fuck them. Like, really, it just, this is just, I feel this, this yearning. I just want to, I really want to reach the camera and just help you walk through that stream. Walk through it naked. Like, just, I don't know. It's beautiful. It's like the broken parts of you healed are the parts that you were meant, like you were meant to make this choice. I think how you've chosen to heal yourself is golden. I'm looking for a sign here, and I'm getting all these little gold dots on the Maiden. So yeah, this is beautiful. Oh, and here's the river. Oh, okay. Yeah. Now, I don't know if this is, okay. Okay, I felt like because inside this box, there's something precious, okay? There's something precious that's never been revealed. I don't know why. You know, and I feel like maybe it comes down to something about when you were very, very young. Because your reading brought me to a point where I was trying to reach for that feeling. Like, I know the feeling. Okay, the feeling is 4 years old. And having to, like, in the 70s, too. So I'm in 1976. I'm, like, riding elevators on my own. Like, yeah, you just did this shit. And, like, navigating life. But every time I went a certain way or did a certain thing, I often found a wall. Like, no, 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 don't do that. You can't do that. That's not appropriate. You don't do that. You can't do that. There's this gem, okay? There is this really unique, oddly shaped little gem here. And it sits inside the circle, which sits inside the box. Sits inside the circle, which sits inside the box. What does the triangle represent? Now, okay, thank you. The triangle to me is representing the structures that have been built in our world. And I see that because it's almost a worshipped symbol. These structures are worshipped. You can't deviate from them. The pyramids. There's so many secret societies and even just, yeah, like that have the triangle as their symbol. So I'm just getting so many downloads with this. I'm hearing that the triangle was never meant to be worshipped as a symbol. It is the hexagon. But now this is not a hexagon, is it? Now forgive me, I'm so bad with these. Octa is 8. Octagon? What is the shape that I'm seeing? Like a beehive. I'm seeing the beehive. And I believe that that is really one of the most profound shapes. Now it's not quite that. What is that? Is that an octagon or a hexagon or a pentagon? I don't know what that is that they use. But I'm seeing it mirrored in this, in the river. Yeah, because I think scientists and biologists did something about that shape and realized that you can get more things within like that shape, as like nothing is wasted, no space is wasted. Where triangles, these are not good shapes. I'm really getting that energy here. These are not good shapes. What would have really contained you, like, and I say contained in a way to keep you safe, allow you, because what grows in those things, but often the pupa of the bees are inside those. I'm going to call them an octagon. I might be completely wrong. The pupa grows in there, and they're all growing individually, and then they pop out. But the river is the symbol of that, which is really brilliant because that's what you're learning here. You're learning that containment can be okay, as long as containment allows you to not hide the most precious part of yourself. But when containment causes you to hide the most precious part of yourself, this is really contained. I mean, not only has it been, the precious part of you been put into this piece of clay, but then these hands are holding it. Like, you go this way. You always go this way. I don't want to go that way. No, you go this way. And then the box is supporting the hands. And then the box is supported by the structure that's gone on and on and on for millenniums. The only way at this point to get to the gem inside you is to crack it open. But then you feel broken down. You feel broken down. You feel lost. You feel like your pieces are all over the place. It's the glue, though. But the glue. Now, okay, now that makes sense. I was trying to figure out why, when I was first talking about the cup and the cracks and the adhesive is the healing. To me, it was like, I was getting this message that it's really important what adhesive you use. Now, what I saw when I was kind of hearing that was caulking because it's expandable and it moves. But I kept getting pulled back into gold, and I don't know, because does gold contract and expand? It's very bendable. It's one of the most bendable metals. So that rings true, I think, again, with what I'm trying to say, because even once you're patched together, you're not supposed to be rigid. It's almost like being broken makes you more flexible. The first break is the hardest. But then it's almost like you don't break. Then it's kind of like you become a birch tree. You bend. Have you ever seen a birch tree? Well, here in the winter, like sometimes we get ice storms and stuff. Well, we've had some pretty bad ones. I'm telling you, the birch tree will look like it's taken the hardest hit in these storms. It will be all the way, the top of that tree will be down, buried in the snow from the ice that piled on it over the winter. The maple and the oak trees, harder, tough, big ass trees, stand up there, their branches crack and fall. All right, so, but then you still see like a main branch could come off of that oak tree in an ice storm. Half the tree still standing. Look at that. Look at that. That's what we will base greatness on, is the mighty oak. Look at that birch tree. That's weak. It's bent. That thing will never recover. The snow melts, the birch tree's still hanging like that through, let's like say like the first 4 or 5 months. And it starts to spring back a little bit. The oak tree starts to sprout leaves. Look at that oak tree. It's magnificent. It lived through the snowstorm and the ice storm. The birch tree is only halfway up. It's going to be deformed. That tree's going to be deformed. It's going to look funny. Look at that oak tree. It's missing half of itself, but it's standing there. What you don't realize is that big crack, there's all sorts of bugs and fungus and bacteria and mold that got into that oak tree. Looks good right now. Give it a couple more seasons. As that oak tree is sitting there looking magnificent and the birch tree is still trying to pull itself up, the oak tree is rotting from the inside out. The birch tree is strengthening itself from the inside out. And then the birch tree stands up. Let's say year 4, it's fully erect again. Not only that, but it's continued to grow. The oak tree stopped growing. Everyone didn't really take note because it was so big and mighty. It's just big, it's there. It stopped growing because internally it was at war with itself. It was at war with itself. So you see how many like metaphors are coming through in this? It's amazing. And then the oak tree starts to rot. 5 more years go by. The oak tree's dead. It's dead. It's just a hollow shell. It's been eaten through by carpenter ants. Woodpeckers have pecked through it, trying to get to the bugs. Fungus, mold, bacteria has eaten away at the cellulose that's in there. It's just fallen apart. It's fallen. And who's standing there? When all doubted the mighty birch, it's standing there. It's standing. And that's what I see with the teacup. The teacup is flexible. I almost see this teacup falling down on the ground, but because all these pieces have been put together, glued together with something that's expandable and contractible, it absorbs the impact. It absorbs the impact, and it's okay. Oh my God, this is like the last reading in this series, Capricorn, and it's one of the most profound. Look at you. Look at you. What's at the bottom? Oh, no. No way. Oh my God. The vessel. The cup. The cup. The teacup. It's golden. It's gold. And look at you standing there vulnerable. Vulnerable. The maiden. Naked. Naked in your beauty. Finding the light. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. Okay. I gotta keep going. I just want to sit with it, but I have to be somewhat professional. Keep pulling cards for you. Okay, who you were then, you are now. Lesson that you are still learning, the lesson that you have learned. That didn't feel right. There you go. Then, the whale. Wow. Oh, I just feel like this is really, really deep. Like the core of this piece of clay. Very deep. Okay, the other thing that's coming in now with this, I feel like we're going way back here, Capricorn, is I feel like you had to be molded. I'm hearing satiate, so I hope I'm using that right. To satiate somebody else's deeper feelings and emotions. I'm also getting like the deepest part of you had to be kind of hidden so that somebody else felt okay. And I don't know actually if it's a parent or like from a long time ago. There was a depth to you. You found depth in this. This makes it very difficult to crack open because there's identity that's connected to this. Now, the tiger, the maiden. Wow, it's like the divine feminine. So the mystery, the beauty, the sensuality, the psychic, the hidden, these are not places to be feared or to be fearful. There's a lot of energy associated with the divine feminine that can, that causes fear, that causes negative reaction, where it is actually like, it is the mother. It is one of these cards. It's not, I don't think it's any that are out. Or maybe, no. It talks about connecting to the mother and like to the mother within you. And then imagine that, like the beauty of this, that even Mother Earth has a mother. Who would that be? Like, what is that? It's so profound and expansive. And it is life. It is the force of life. But because life can be so unpredictable, it can be terrifying. But you're sitting in it really beautifully. I'm getting that song. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again. What is that song? Is that a Simon and Garfunkel? What is that? I'm just hearing that, but I'm seeing the darkness here. But it's almost like there's a part of you, like it's not, because there's no fear involved with it, that it's a light, like it glows. The shadows. The sounds of silence. I really need to know that song. Anyway, sorry. I don't know if you guys have patience for me when I'm trying to download these songs like that. The sounds of silence, which is really beautiful too, though. I think is that what it's called? Let's keep going. Okay, not fully learned. The river. Oh, the beaver. That is really intriguing. Because who goes down rivers but beavers? Oh my goodness. What do beavers do in rivers? They dam them up. They use architecture, right? They are, to me, beavers are the architects of nature. Well, there's a lot of animals that are, but they're pretty good at it. They will create a whole new environment for themselves. But they will do it in a very holistic and natural way. That's what's so fascinating about beaver. I know a lot of people that like manage, like, well, Earth is managed. Mankind manages Earth. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We absolutely do. So I do understand, like, it's complicated. It is complicated. I think it's so complicated in our worlds right now. If we were not managing Earth, Because sometimes the beaver is, this is an interesting message too. Sometimes the beaver is seen as a pest because they're damming up a water source that people are using, or they're causing an area to be flooded that people don't want to be flooded. It's always about what people want. The beaver couldn't give two shits. And I'll tell you why the beaver is always right. Because the beaver will create a completely new habitat and ecosystem that is sustainable, and it's a quick change. They can quickly change an environment and everything adapts. And it's absolutely beautiful. Like, they are in sync with the environment. And then we get mad at them because we've changed the environment and that's not working the way we want it to work. And I can't blame people because they might flood out people's houses, or it's complicated. So I want to say right here, the lesson that you're still working on is the flow of life and recognizing when it's the time to build, and that is a really beautiful, pure thing. Not everyone might agree with it, because the beaver, I mean, too, if you look at Canada, like, he's like he's a little buddy. We put him on money, for goodness sakes. But they're so cute. So we put them on money. They are humble. They're humble. I mean, okay, if you want to compare, let's look at my American friends might get upset, but like I'm in Canada. So the US, it's the bald eagle. It's mighty, it's graceful, it's beautiful. But there's a lot of things that are not talked about the bald eagle because the patriarch doesn't want you to recognize that about the bald eagle. The bald eagle is more of a scavenger than it is a hunter. The female of the bald eagle is the one that rules everything. They're bigger than the males and they dominate them. That's a fact. It's a biological fact. But those things are not discussed. Like, most of the bald eagles that you see depicted to represent the government, or call it the government, because it's not necessarily the people and how the people want to be. It's masculine, it's patriarchal. Yet the bald eagle is an opportunistic scavenger that utilizes the feminine. The feminine runs it. A young female bald eagle will come and chase away mature male bald eagles because she's bigger. Unless we've had a Mandela effect, but no, it's still the same. So, but now in Canada we have the beaver. It's pretty humble. The beaver and the moose and the loon. But let's stick with the beaver. Now, the beaver is beautiful, but yet humble. And it doesn't seem like a very powerful symbol. But you see, that's what is really a lot of the things that are kind of wrong with our world, right? The triangle was not meant to be a powerful symbol because it is not a powerful symbol. It is the hexagon, octagon, pentagon. Maybe not the pentagon. It is like this that the bees produce. And actually, the bees are also mostly feminine. They are mostly feminine. God, this is deep. This is like a really profound reading, Capricorn. So the structures and the symbols that have been utilized to depict power and strength are false. So once you get past that, it's difficult because you've been molded into it. We've all been molded into it. And then we've been hardened. We've been kilned. We've been dried into that. It is more about the humble devotion to the passion that you have within you, and that as humble as it may appear on the surface, it is so in tune with how things really run. I mean, this is a genius. For something in nature to be able to change environments to the extent that the beaver does, and as quickly as the beaver does, and that everything seems to like just adapt so quickly, and it produces entirely new ecosystems. It often improves ecosystems. This is you now. This is like you becoming the beaver and flowing in the river and finding your place in that. Once you've been cracked open in the vessel, but what could float down the river but you as the vessel? The lesson, the hard lesson here is starfish. Oh, the starfish, a lot for me lately, because I've been going back into the books and remembering things that I've forgotten about some of these cards, is the superficiality. of this. And I mean, I've often talked about it, like there's what you see on the surface of the starfish is completely different from what is on the underneath of the starfish. And there is a sense of superficiality, like what you've been molded to or what you've been hardened into is superficial. It really isn't the truth. So you've learned that. That's a difficult thing to crack open. Because when you recognize the truth, you can't move beyond the truth until you recognize how that truth has transformed you and all of the parts about you that are clinging to the false truth. It's really, yeah, it's a rabbit hole and a half. Oh, the cosmic egg, but here you go. Here you go, here you go, here you go. That's beautiful. That's getting ready to hatch parts of you. This little thing inside. Oh, I'm hearing this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Yeah, the little gem inside all of us that got lost and confused at 4 years old. Yeah, I'm sort of just thinking about like, because yeah, like living in the city, it was like, yeah, it was around the Jane and Finch area, and then it was, I don't know where it went from there. Not great areas. Actually, they weren't as bad as they ended up becoming when I was there. But then, like, I think about when I was little, and actually when I was 2 years old, my grandparents bought their place up north on the lake and across on the other side of the house. Well, on one side was the lake, and the other side was a gravel road and ditches, and then an old farm. And I used to spend hours just looking in the ditches and finding salamanders and tadpoles. I never felt more alive, like doing that stuff. And then I would have to go back to the city, and I would literally spend my time drawing the pictures of all those things while I was supposed to be learning stuff in school. Because it's just like, yeah, that's where life was to me. And I kind of feel like, I think Capricorn is a bit of that, like a very earthy sign. But there is that, because Capricorn also symbolizes the devil, like getting caught up in all these things that I've talked about and having to break out of them to find the truth of yourself, to try to find the little 4-year-old you in the ditch playing with the salamanders and tadpoles, right? You then, the whale, the hermit. I really see that you've been working to crack this open. I feel like as I'm really looking at this, like you've spent a lot of time really sussing out who you are, and how everything around you started to form you, started to create you. I think there's been a few layers here that you've had to work through. Quite a few layers. There's at least 3 layers here that I see. And just like a big layer, and then a smaller layer, and then a smaller layer, till you get to the core of perhaps a lot of questions you had about yourself, things that you felt that you couldn't understand. Now you're the maiden and the tiger. It is very divine. Whether you see yourself as masculine or feminine, it doesn't matter. You are really in tune with your divine feminine, and the pure part of it, the one that's ready to stumble and trip and fall over themselves, but realize that that's just part of your process. That's just part of allowing you little cute lumpy piece of gem here to kind of roll naturally down the river of life. Whoa, the Father of Pentacles. That one threw me for a loop. Who you are now. There's something you haven't let go of. I know that you would see this as like the King of Pentacles really being in Capricorn's power. And I'm going to say yes. I feel like there's a layer left here, right? Because, well, you are struggling with the... Okay, you are struggling with the river. This is a lesson that you're fully learning. And with the Beaver, it's really got to have to do with things that you build in this river. You are quite capable of building. Almost even saying like you are perhaps a natural architect of life. But now doing it with a divine feminine, which to me is everything really in nature, Mother Earth, the life forces. Always wanting to tame it, right? Like that just feels like that's like divine masculine in its unhealthy form, is always needing and wanting to tame nature instead of just being with it. But yet mankind was, for most of its evolution as nomads, just being with nature and being balanced. How do you get into this river? Okay, I kind of feel like there's a level of respect here for your journey that's showing up in this. You know the power that you have, but there's a level of respect that you're stepping into it with. That, you know, going into this river, knowing that you need to build in life. I mean, life is about building things and learning, and but wanting to do it like the Beaver, like holistic and pure. And what you build creates life, doesn't destroy it. If you're going to contain, that containment is only like a temporary protection until something can really go off on its own and grow or die. Like that's what life is. So I see that as like a level of respect for the journey that you step forward into. I almost feel like really like I would give you a bow. Like this is really beautiful. So where the, wow, the world, oh, the world, Jesus, the world. The circle of life. Little poppies. They look like poppies to me. There's two things I think about with poppies. The first thing I think about with poppies is like remembrance bay. Respect. Okay, I think I said that. Respect. Poppies. Respect. Respect for the journey. Respect for the fallen. Respect for the fallen pieces of you. Respect for those that formed. This is the trick here. Respect for everything that formed you that eventually needed to be cracked open. It's almost as if when you really have to fight to get to the core of who you are, it's a much more profound love for yourself than if you never had to fight for it. The poppies. And then I think of the opium. The trip that life is. I'm just going to put some, it's a very serious reading. I just got to put something funny in here. So I was up at my mom's on the weekend and little Lily was with me, of course, obviously. She's my familiar. I was helping my mom plant some things and she has she inherited it, a great big poppy patch. It's huge. I said to her, like, you know, I don't know what you can do with all these poppies. I didn't even think you could grow this many poppies legally, but... So, Lily was in the poppy field, and she was like biting off all the little poppy pod heads. And I'm like, Lily, stop eating that. Are you trying to get a trip? And then she went and found mushrooms in the yard and she started eating the mushrooms. And I don't know why she was doing that. She hasn't done that. She went through a puppy. Used to drive me crazy because I didn't know if they were poison, and she would make herself puke up mushrooms. And it just, anyway, it's just funny because Lily was eating poppy and mushrooms. She was she's having like a little trip. She was fine, thank God. But yeah, the poppies are really coming in as a symbol of respect. Respect for who you've been. This is the part that will let you go forward. Respect for who you've been. You need to have a lot of respect for who you've been. So I don't know if there's things that you've done in the past that you were ashamed of, or things that you're looking back on and saying, I don't think that was in the best interest or the higher good of myself or others, or whatever it is. It's your journey and it's yours, and you should own it. You should respect it because it's taken you to where you are right now, and it's absolutely friggin' beautiful. It really is. So give yourself the respect you deserve. The lesson that you fully learned here is the superficial constructs, the superficial beliefs that we can convince ourselves of to chase superficial desires. Oh, wow, the Lovers. I do feel that on some level here that you are recognizing that choices you made may not have been choices that you would have made should you not have been on a particular path and be guided in particular ways. But again, it's about respect for who you are. You're never behind and you're never ahead of where you're supposed to be. You're exactly where you're meant to be. And this is beautiful because I see you sitting in this river. If you can sit in it with respect, because you can't flow in this river if you don't respect who you've been before and everything that you've gone through in the past, because you'll always try not to do it. And the minute you try not to do it, you're going to bring it into your life because you're putting your focus on it. If you can respect it, that means you can let it rest. That means you can really release it and let it go. If you can't give it the respect it deserves, no matter whatever you did that you think you didn't do right. I mean, we've all done it. We've all done things at different degrees and different levels. So yeah, you really need to. I think that's the most important thing about your lesson here. And then the minute that you do respect yourself and every part of who you were in the past, everyone that had any sort of influence over you, because they're all on the same journey. They've all been on the same journey. This is all part of the human story. And here you are in this river, ready to build. Don't be afraid to build. Because if you've done this work, I really think you're going to build something beautiful. Why are you holding back? Well, maybe you're not. Maybe this is just why we're here. This is why we're here. You have the Two of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles. This is like you're ready to have a new beginning, and you're ready to learn how to master things again in your life. But it's a little bit like making up a few excuses here, or just focusing on the tedious things that need to be focused on in life. Because there's a beautiful rebirth here, and I just see you flowing in the river, picking those trees, finding the right ones to build with. So, my gosh, Capricorn, that was something. I'm going to go do the extended. In the extended, I'm going to look at the energies that are transforming around you, and then I'm going to look at you in the future. So, thank you so much, Capricorn. Until next time, do be gentle with yourselves. Bye.